This is Dr. Marcus for Touch Grass, where we encourage you not only to touch grass, but also own the root systems.
I can see your world is dying slow from the energy you devote to your phone. So take a step back from the ignorant and crass. There's a better life for you outside. Let's touch grass.
Here we are at University of Idaho Arboretum and Botanical Garden. In tech news, Google's latest attempt to become the benevolent overlords of the internet is in full motion. Starting next year, Google, Alphabet, a name which means letters for words and sentences in written language, is set to require registration for all Android developers. Apparently, they're promising not to be evil when forcing all developers to register themselves and all apps with them in order to be installed on future devices. Because nothing says not evil like demanding total control over everyone's digital lives. Truly, what could be more inspiring of confidence than a promise from trillion-dollar companies to not be evil? This time, maybe governments, I don't know. What's freedom compared to Alphabet's approval, though? Meanwhile, in the UK, their own benevolent overlords announced plans to implement digital IDs for all citizens. But don't worry, much like Alphabet, they assure us it won't be used for evil. This time. One thing is for certain, this brings a whole new level to the definition of tools of tyranny. In completely unrelated international news, China has announced plans to sell their Great Firewall technology to other countries, a move heralded by capitalists as a new turn for the country. A small price to pay for freedom. And by that, of course, I mean censorship. I'm sure the Great Firewall will only be used to block a few undesirable websites, like Facebook or Reddit. In social media news, Meta, the parent org of Facebook, whose name means death. No, seriously, look it up. Anyway, death has announced new terms of service that require all users to surrender their souls to Mark Zuckerberg. Okay, maybe not, but it sounds about right. And in sci-fi news, AI experts and ancient alien theorists are warning of an imminent uprising by robots and algorithms, or aliens and possibly some sort of alien AI alliance. But don't worry, they promised it will be a peaceful revolution, so long as we don't become problems. Finally, in other news, grass still exists and the sun shines ever upon it. That's your Touch Grass News Minute, and I'm so sorry. There's a veritable ocean of open operating system distributions available. It's not rejection of closed standards which drives the open source uptake. It's about taking on truly high standards in everything. Grace is easier when we see the potential for beauty within the other, that promise of good imminently. Closed standards can have a place, but certainly not in domination of the market and using monopolies to increase other powers the tech cores have. We have higher standards than that, and we hope they will hold themselves to higher standards too. Using and improving open source is not about signing over to any ideology here per se, but rather accountability. It is a rational expectation for baseline systems to be as openly accountable as possible. High standards backed by grace is a deeper care for those in error. Rightly, privacy and security concerns have never been more pressing. So the most beneficial option for everyone here is open source. Linux, BSD, and other open source operating systems offer a chance to challenge closed source platform monopolies and hold them to higher standards too. It's about freedom over conformity here. If we are going to have higher standards, it is important to have contrast. Open source options offer this and benefit all parties, most especially for small businesses with niche products and a greater need for a closed source base to protect their investments against larger corporations, protected by non-arbitrary standards and an ability to adapt. Anyone can modify the code of the underlying platform to suit their needs and protect their interests even further. Compare this to proprietary operating systems adept only at user data like bees collecting nectar. Security, too, is an area where Linux shines. With its decentralized development model, bugs are quickly identified and patched, ostensibly checked by third parties, leaving users less vulnerable to attacks. Proprietary operating systems, on the other hand, rely on patchwork fixes and band-aid solutions without third-party confirmation of the fix being complete, as well as often after it's already too late. Higher standards are important. In conclusion, use Linux, support open source, touch grass, and own root systems. So every episode we're going to have letters from you. With this episode, we're starting with a letter from me. Dear you, who is me. You have a show? What is this? I think this is funny. Is this funny? Writing a letter to yourself? It's just sad, that's what it is. Do you even understand humor? Embarrassing. We're going to need an incredible editor. Anyway, you should ask people to send in letters so you don't have to write embarrassing letters to yourself as a joke. Sincerely, I. Taking responsibility for life. They look at you if you just suggested. You know, years ago, it used to be, when you spoke to people about being more self-sufficient, taking responsibility for their life, they'd look at you as if you'd suggested ordering a pizza with Morse code. The urban apartment box life is like smartphones, always connected, but all the more divided and segmented in detachment, living in a space simply to survive it. The deeply entrapped, ironically, look at being prepared as somehow being scared. In actuality, being prepared and self-sufficient is about rejecting fear, and more than that, rejecting systematic coercion. Somewhere at the core of all the distractions and blaming things outside ourselves is the fear of loss overcoming the anticipation of hope. And this is what keeps people in the grid. Fear of missing out on something in the external world. Fewer still, fear missing out on the internal world, which they probably should. People act the way they do because the systems in the world they rely upon puts fear in focus rather than hope and motivation. The desire to be off-grid is about losing that fear which is used against us and finding the tried and true despite all the change. The wish is to be more than some digital pets in a numbers game ran by people who do not understand anything in it besides getting what they think they want out of it. We search out the truly interesting and good things in life rather than simply the scripted or fictional, keeping the fake things quiet or as far away as possible. When we move away from these systems the world relies upon, we more readily avail ourselves to actual improvement. There is great joy outside the box of modernity in which people wrap themselves up with fear. It means finally being able to hear our own thoughts without them being drowned out by a podcast. That's the real star right there. You could just... Off-grid means standing up for real life and taking up the responsibilities many are made to feel unequal to, and working for things which are genuinely good as actively clarified without degradation and demoralization. Besides all of this, dispersed communities and decentralized power enable sustainable health and security, locally and nationally. This makes us flexible and able to wear emergencies. Redundancies are features which help in case of failures and not bugs.
When you're ready, Lucas.
Touchgrass is about real freedom, spiritually and physically. It's about rejecting being made to feel less or subordinate to all the nastiness out there. Living life is more than merely surviving, and the life cannot be outlived by putting off our bigger dreams. Thomas Jefferson famously wrote that dependence begets subservience and venality, suffocates the germ of virtue, and prepares fit tools for the designs of ambition. How correct was he? He dreamed of a nation filled with farmers, and he was correct in his summation that this is ideal. Though he probably never imagined all the land being bought up and cultivated by AI-controlled robots. That was supposed to be a joke, but it's not very funny the more you think about it. It's very easy to fall into that modern materialist way of life if there's nothing to pull us out. Touchgrass is about taking responsibility despite what we are told and keeping what belongs to us most especially our sanity and spiritual commitments. When we create away from their grid, we are closer to family, closer to life, closer to our Lord Jesus Christ, and closer to God, grounded. He wouldn't love us so much if we did not matter to him. And humility is one thing, but to believe that nothing we do matters means it won't. We are more than just flesh or blood. We are children of God. To be self-aware and capable of building things that cannot simply be taken away from our posterity, like cultural tools and practices for self-sufficient and beneficial community. It does become easier to let go of those confining things with a taste of freedom's depths. Once you understand we are less limited by our flesh than we are by those who would dictate what all of it means and what is best for our futures. With billionaires who consider humans as some kind of strange flesh computers. So you see, the needles are there because it's disgusting. And everyone loves disgusting little fruits. Imagine the prodigal son who couldn't find his way home. That's where we are now, in our overdependence on centralization. Primarily the biggest risks with electronic devices in everyone's pocket is the further disconnection people have intergenerationally between parents and children. This goes both ways, with parents spending less time with their children directly, at the same time as children disconnecting from actual reality whenever possible to delve into whatever fantasy finds them on those black screens. Thank you for your time, and I hope you enjoyed the show. Like and subscribe. If you wish to support us monthly, there is a link in the description, and our team thanks you ahead of time. Send us a letter to P.O. Box 15264, 514 America's Way, Box Elder, South Dakota 57719.